Latest information regarding the health of the Secretary of Defense.
I asked, but can the ambulance not show up with lights and sirens?
Adding to a critical moment for the Biden administration. Turning the political spotlight.
House Democrats are in lockstep that we need to avoid a government shutdown.
Over a possible shutdown in the coming days. A Buddhist temple is hurt again.
The hands, that's non-repairable.
How the owner is responding to these attacks. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Kenneth Bueno.
I'm Laura Palfrey. Today is Thursday, January 18th, 2024.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
A new view this morning of tornadoes that passed just north of West Palm Beach.
A twister touched down Monday near the Palm City exit on I-95. Two tornadoes were seen within 40 minutes in the St. Lucie and Martin County areas. Videos show, however, that one initial crossed the I-95 in the middle of rush hour traffic at 5 p.m. Authorities warn drivers to pass with precaution.
Every authority says don't go under an overpass because there's no walls on the side. It becomes a wind tunnel. So the chances of you getting blown out from under there are even higher.
Is minimal and no one was injured.
New this morning, we're hearing the call help shortly before an ambulance took Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to the hospital. CNN's Oren Lieberman reports on new 911 audio obtained by the news network.
Fairfax County 911, where is your emergency?
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's hospitalization was a secret from the start. At 7:11 p.m. on New Year's Day, an aide to Austin called 911.
My name is, and I work for...
In a recording of the call obtained by CNN, the aide's name is redacted, so is Austin's. But the street matches the address of the Defense Secretary's home. The aide asks the 911 dispatcher for the ambulance to remain silent, a request any caller can make.
Can I ask, but can the ambulance not show up with lights and sirens? We're trying to remain a little subtle.
On Wednesday, the Pentagon wouldn't say why Austin's aide wanted the ambulance to be subtle.
We're reviewing this. The Secretary has again taken responsibility in terms of the need for transparency as it relates to his medical care.
Austin was taken to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center with complications from a surgery to treat prostate cancer on December 22nd, a diagnosis that wasn't immediately disclosed to President Joe Biden or other senior national security officials. Austin's initial diagnosis with prostate cancer, which occurred in early December, wasn't known until January 9th.
Do you have confidence in Secretary Austin?
I do.
I'm sorry.
Was it a lapse in judgment for him not to tell you earlier?
Yes.
Austin spent 2 weeks at Walter Reed Medical Center at a critical time for U.S. national security. The war in Gaza raged into its fourth month. Iranian proxies attacked international shipping in the Red Sea and launched more attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria. And the U.S. carried out strikes against the Houthis in Yemen, which Austin authorized from the hospital.
That was Oren Lieberman from CNN. Secretary Austin is now home and continuing to recover. The Pentagon has established secure communications from his home to protect national security secrets.
A plea for a pause is in effect as a judge told state election officials to hold on the Supreme Court's decision to let Donald Trump take the ballot for the 2024 primary. The Secretary of State in Maine cited the insurrectionist ban of the 14th Amendment in the ruling against the former president last month. Yesterday, she ruled that the decision on Trump's eligibility will wait as the Supreme Court deals with a similar case in Colorado. Trump is set to take the ballot after winning the Iowa caucuses earlier this week.
The Senate and House of Representatives are waging a fight this morning on the eve of the government funding deadline. CNN's Karen Kafer reports on how the push for the bill plays right into the efforts to prevent a looming government shutdown.
Once again, Congress is up against the clock.
House Democrats are in lockstep that we need to avoid a government shutdown.
The Senate Tuesday pushed forward a short-term spending bill that would extend government funding through two new deadlines on March 1st and March 8th. But it needs to pass the Senate and the House by Friday night to avert a partial government shutdown that would impact priorities including military construction, Veterans Affairs, transportation, housing, and the Energy Department. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Wednesday pushed back against the right flank of his caucus that called the stopgap measure unveiled this weekend surrender.
This is an important thing for us because it allows us to fight for our policy changes, our policy riders in those spending bills, and it takes time to do that.
Meanwhile, a battle over U.S. southern border security has stalled a separate spending bill that would also include aid to Ukraine, with Democrats critical of the delay.
We need to deal with both, but tying them together, as Republicans have done, could result in decades of undermining American leadership around the world.
Bipartisan negotiations on the measure, which would also fund aid for Israel and Taiwan, have taken place primarily in the Senate. Some House Republicans signaling a fight ahead.
You can't just come to an agreement in the Senate, not include the House, and think that's going to automatically become law. That's not the way the Constitution works.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
This morning, a prized Buddha statue has been vandalized for the second time. Surveillance video was rolling Friday as someone knocked the hands off the statue in Louisville, Kentucky. Authorities believe it's the same guys who painted the statue a few weeks ago. A man who works in the neighboring business says it's unacceptable.
For the hands, that's non-repairable. You can't glue back marble hands. I mean, I would love for the community to, watch out for this place. It's very important for neighborhoods to have religious organizations, whether that be Christianity, Buddhism, anything like that. We all need to look out for each other. We're all in this together.
A report was filed with police and they issued this statement saying that a report for criminal mischief was taken, but there were no known suspects.
Plans in place this morning after a major development announcement. It was yesterday near San Francisco. They are now seeking voter approval to create a new city in a rural area. The group has invested over $800 million in land. Jan Schremak, leading the California Forever Group, envisions transformative changes, including infrastructure improvements and community services for the first 50,000 residents.
400,000 people at the intersection of 12 and 116. Without spending $1 billion or more improving those highways? Who's going to pay for that?
Critics, including Congressman John Garamendi, have voiced concerns about financing and potential impacts on existing residents, raising questions about the project's viability as it heads to a vote in November.
For the second straight game, the Panthers went into overtime.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
So that's how I started, because I wanted to help our fire department get the equipment they need to save lives.
Rescue workers have 10,000 reasons to thank a very ambitious teenager. Newsbreak will be back in just 2 minutes.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort
to get to know each other
on a deeper level. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
A teen with a big heart shows how raising $10,000 can be as easy as pie.
A teenager used her pie-making skills to raise money for equipment for her local fire department. David Sackrider from WJRT has the story.
My goal was only $4,000, and I raised over $10,000.
Harrison was recovering from a surgery when she saw the equipment used to rescue someone trapped in a grain bin on TV. She called her local fire department to see if they had one.
They didn't have it, and they applied for grants 2 times, and they were denied. And so that's how I started, because I wanted to help our fire department get the equipment they need to save lives.
Chief David Nelson with the Gratiot Emergency Services Authority says he was touched by Harrison's offer, but he thought it might be a little ambitious.
I thought it was a challenge. I figured she'd raise a couple $1,000s and that would be it.
Harrison visited local businesses to ask for donations and gave a pie to everyone who donated over $80. She baked 44 pies in total. One business in particular surprised her by donating the exact amount she was asking for.
I pitched my idea to someone at McDonald's, and then I went with my friend and I sat down to get some food, and a manager came out to me and said that they heard my idea and they would like to help and donate one of the sets for free.
The $4,000 donation from McDonald's allowed the fire department to purchase 2 sets of the equipment. Harrison says she's happy they could get them before a tragedy occurs.
My dad told me that it usually starts at the tragedy, and we have to wait for someone to die first to get this equipment. But why do we wait if we can raise it now?
That was David Sackrider from WJRT. The fire chief says the equipment has been ordered and should be ready to be put into use in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
This morning, the Florida Panthers dropped their 3rd straight after previously being the hottest team in the NHL. It was the Panthers' 2nd straight overtime loss. They blew a 2-1 lead after allowing a Red Wings goal early in the 3rd, and would give them a crucial power play to start overtime, which left the door open for another game-sealing goal. The final score was Panthers 3, Red Wings 2. The Cats will look to get back in the win column when they face the Minnesota Wild on Friday.
This morning, the Heat's win streak was snapped in a very demoralizing way. The Toronto Raptors started the game by scoring 10 unanswered points, and the nightmare for the Heat did not stop there. The deficit would get to as much as 37 in the game. The final score was Toronto 121, Heat 97. The Heat will try to put the loss behind them when they face the Atlanta Hawks back at home on Friday. You're watching Newsbreak, and we'll return in just a moment.
Really use a new tablet. I just don't have the money.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a Pell Grant?
Yes.
You do know you can get a free tablet, right?
Did you say free?
Yeah, free. It's simple. And the application is done in the store.
I could really use a tablet.
Go get one. Another satisfied customer. Stop by Pantotech in the Graham Center at FIU MMC today to speak with one of our associates to get your free tablet.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life. But how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have something called prediabetes. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Laura Palfrey.
I'm Kenneth Bueno. We'll get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.